Hello, citizens of YouTube. This is the Geeky Nerd here, and today, as you see, we're having a little bit of a different video from our standard bench press videos. And today, we're going to be talking about how to smooth out an AK as much as possible. The V2 edition of one of my very early videos, and just some things I've learned and some things I wanted to change up. Before I begin, though, I'd like to say a big thank you out to everyone who has liked, commented, and subscribed on the previous videos. I always appreciate it and always enjoy talking to you guys. But if you're new here to the channel, welcome. And if you enjoyed this video, enjoy this type of content, please consider liking, commenting, and or subscribing. With the PR out the way, let's get into it. So, like I said, this is going to be a follow-up to my first video that I had years ago of how to make your AK as smooth as butter. The general philosophies are still going to apply, but I found some better methods I just wanted to kind of inform you guys of and hopefully be of assistance here. So joining us today, we have my Vector Arms AK, rib top cover, pretty standard build. Pay no attention to the little lever over here. I'm doing some other work with this, but what you're going to need to complete this is a small pair of needle nose pliers, flathead screwdriver, a Dremel, and a couple Dremel bits, right? Buffer bits. All the changes that we're going to do are going to be for the interchangeable parts, and nothing is going to be done to the base of the gun. So what I mean by that is everything that you can take out of the gun is what we're going to essentially work on, but we're not going to mess with the frame. Reason being is that if you mess with the actual frame and not a individual parts can be replaced. The actual frame cannot, and it's better to have a light hand. If you feel like you can, accomplish the more tedious parts and are okay taking the risk, I will talk about those, but I'm not going to demonstrate those here because this gun just needs a little bit of polish. So, looking at it so far right now, so you can see the action here, just kind of a before and after. So I'm just going to picture my thumb. You see it's getting hung right about there-ish. And you can feel like a little bit of resistance right there. So pretty much getting over that hump. And then the trigger, of course, this is a safe gun, right? So the trigger, see, I don't know if you hear it. It's got some, definitely got some grit in it. Definitely not perfect. So we're going to polish this up. Now, the quickest way to do that, all of this is going to be put an ALG trigger in it, call it a day. There's some work you like to do the carrier, but generally an ALG trigger is going to do most of that, but we're going to do the poverty spec way, right? So we're just going to fold this stock out here. Not that we necessarily need it, but we need to be able to take out the safety. So we're just going to take off our top cover here. Take off your spring. Bear with me, guys, as well. Some of this is a little bit hard to do on camera, right? Okay, so then you're going to take your carrier out. So pull that to the rear. Put that to the side. And you're going to see inside here. So obviously, there's been already a bit of natural polish that has occurred over the years of using this and firing this. But there are some things that definitely need to be improved on it, right? Looking at the bolt carrier itself, first thing, so we're not going to touch anything with the bolt face. You do not want to mess with any of the geometry, any of the surfaces, anything that's on here, because those are your locking lugs. That's what keeps it from blowing up in your face. So don't touch this. So putting out the side. And then we have the bolt carrier. Now, some people are going to recommend against just doing this. Majority of the work is going to be on the trigger. Majority of the work will clean up on the trigger and give you the best feeling. But there is some work to be done on the carrier. And so what do I mean by that? So you're going to see on the rear here, there is a little bit of a tail. You don't want to touch that as well because that can mushroom out. Again, you can see that after the years of use. But a lot of the work's going to be done right along here. So this surface here, if I can get zoom to work right. So this surface here, you can see it has quite a few imperfections, and the geometry is kind of rough, right? So it has some very hard angles, very steep surfaces, just some general wear. There may have been a little bit of polish here over the years, right? But it just needs a retouch. And you can see those hard angles, and you can feel them with your hand. While it is smooth, the geometry needs a little bit of work to kind of get some of that slop out. Same thing on the hammer face, as I just need to zoom out here. So that's what we're gonna do. We're going to put the carrier to the side. It's a bit of a dirty gun. We're just going to do some disassembly here. So first things first, we're going to put that there. Oh, also rubber band helps. Sorry about that, guys. The camera always wants to cut out as soon as we're about to get the meat and potatoes of it. Okay, so we're just going to continue disassembly. So we're going to let our hammer down nice and gently here. We're going to take our safety off, swing it up here. Come on. It's always a little bit tricky with some of these. This one's stiffer than usual. Take this out. There's safety. I'm just gonna roll this over here, and you're gonna see these little shepherd's crooks, shepherd's hooks. One of them's actually already off, so sometimes good to just inspect this because that should actually be right there, right? So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take this. Don't let this snap around. Flip it around to the hammer edge. Flip it around to the hammer's edge, and then hold these tight. You don't want to get like the Russian snake bite, which is basically where these spring back and then they hit you in the hand. So what I like to do is you take a little rubber band here, wrap these around, just grab that, and then just start twisting. And basically just capturing that. And then we'll deal with that here in a second. And we're just making sure we don't have that come back and bite us. Okay, so we're good there. Little shepherd's crook here, or little retainer. Just take that out. Okay, some of them may have like a little piece of wire that you just gotta pull out. But anyway, little pin comes out here for your trigger. Reach in, pull that straight out, and now your hammer. You're gonna pull that same pin out. Boom, there you go. That's your rear pin, and then you're gonna rotate, twist, keep holding. Boom, there you go. So now the inside of your receiver is empty. Hold out on the side, kind of give it a little clean out, any gunk that may be in there. One thing I was saying about the modification of the actual receiver itself, some people like to polish this top that doesn't really do anything. You can deburr some of these edges in here to where it glides a bit smoother. You don't have these little sharp gaps. You can also polish this rail here. Do not, under any circumstance, modify anything in this area in your front trunnion. Bad juju. Also, don't touch this. This little edge here is your ejector. So, or shell ejector. So as it's cycling, kicks the shell out. But don't mess with that. Other than that, pretty much the receiver. Move that down. And now we have our bolt carrier. And then we have our trigger. So again, these two along with your hammer. So the hammer, you're just going to hold these springs together. Take those off. Right, so take the rubber band out. And then you're going to release one side ever so cautiously. And release the other side ever so cautiously. And there you go. And now we're going to take that off. Boom. Hammer spring, and I left for the hammer and the three parts we're going to work with. So hold on for a jump cut as I clear up the space a bit. Okay, gents. So here's like I said, the parts we're working with. Get you a little zoom in here, and let me try to get a bit more in frame. Perfect. Okay, so now you're going to take your Dremel that we have here, and this is a 80 grit sanding wheel. So you don't want to use any stones or anything like that. Stones can, what will happen is, and when I'm referring to stones, talking about talking about something like these, right? So what can happen if you use stones like these is they can gouge in the metal and actually create divots as opposed to a very uniform flat surface. What we're looking to do is have a very flat, uniform surface. You can use sanding discs here like this. These sometimes slip off. I like the sanding disc here as opposed to the drums. So yeah. What you're also going to use in this type of kit, right, is there is usually a compound that you can also have with a felt disc. That's for a really good final polish. But considering the hardness of these parts, what I like to actually use is one of these guys here. So these are basically they're honing stones. They are impregnated with this compound. They're a bit stiffer, a bit harder, and they do really nice mirror finishes. So we're going to use that along with that. And then you can also use a wire wheel to even up some surfaces. But general gist is we're just going to have these two. So with that, uh, just to overview, we're going to be polishing and evening out this entire surface, right? Every kind of area that you're seeing, but just mainly the surface. And this right here is where the hammer rides. So whenever you're feeling like that click click, it's these surfaces right here that are basically stuck, and you kind of see where that edge is on that hammer geometry, where it's kind of like that point. It's hitting right there, and then it's having to overcome, right? And then it's hitting that edge, and then it's having to overcome. You can actually even demonstrate just by you can see as it kind of releases and goes through. And this being, of course, Tapco G2 hammer, nothing too crazy, but we're smooth that out. We're going to smooth out this edge right here. Again, smoothing. We're just removing ever so slightly from the surface. We are not digging into the geometry of this. Same thing with these two paws here that interface with the with the trigger here. So as it's kind of going, you could feel that grit as you're moving right here, but we're just going to be removing that little bit right there. And then we're going to finally polish up underneath here and up underneath here on these mating surfaces. And if you look like a Geisley trigger, you're going to see that those parts are actually always nicely finished. So with that, we're going to start getting into it. So here we go. Also, just a word, always make sure you're wearing eye protection. You wear hand protection, but the little sparks, if you just move away from it, but make sure you wear eye protection. In this as well, you don't want to just be going in one area and then kind of going slowly. You want to get a nice even, you want to make a bunch of small light passes, not very heavy grain passes. So again, this is pretty much the process here, guys. I'm gonna pause it. I'm gonna get this nice and finished with this wheel before moving to the next step. But I'm gonna do every part with this wheel first, and then we'll go back through this part. So hold on, you'll see the finished product on this one. Okie dokie. So with that finished, so you can see as what we essentially done was right. We just adjusted the profile bit, so made just nice, even, smooth strokes all the way across, kind of getting almost like a mirrored finish, but just really smoothed out those rough, hard edges. You can take down some like these little, you say, really kind of nicked edges, but it'd be best to kind of just polish some of those. Same thing here on the rear. Also, did the hammer here. Now, one thing about the hammer as well, you just want to make sure that you're doing. Let me see if I grab the firing pin or the bolt. Is you'll see that there is a flat spot. You don't want to get rid of that flat spot. That flat spot in between allows the hammer as it goes to make contact with the flat spot. So if you make that too much of a divot or make that too much whatever, right, you may not be getting full contact. So it may make something like that, right? So you just gotta make sure you do have like that flat up towards this top edge, still there, still perfectly flat. So you just want to take down this high point, but not necessarily round out this too much. But that you can see we got as much as we could with the wheel there, but there are some areas that we're going to kind of get into it. But this area isn't as much important for taking material off. You just want to get that first layer off, and then on the trigger, couldn't actually do anything. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take our impregnated polisher here, and you're actually going to see a mirror polish come from this. So we're going to work on the trigger itself first. And I'm going to take this and I'm just going to run this in here as such, right? And run it in here as such and really polish those contact areas. So one one thing as well with the Dremel, the speed does the work. So you put a lot of pressure into it, but you kind of want to find a happy balance. You don't want to put too much pressure because the speed is actually what's doing the work. So as you can see there, guys, we're getting some material removed, but really smoothing that out. So you can see before where it was, the phosphate coating was there. We're really starting to kind of get that mirror polish, and we want to get a mirrored finish, remove any type of surface imperfections and grit. In here, it's not necessarily getting in like I want it to. So probably have to take one like this little bit here and go in this way at an angle to get it. And then we're going to do the same procedure for along these hammer faces, hammer edges, and along here. So that's the general process to do, and hold on for the after results. Guys, started getting a little carried away, and I just want to show you a little part of the process here. Again, my trigger, so I wanted to put like a little bit of flair on it and just really get this trigger shoe here mirror polished out. So you guys are just gonna see how that's working. So hope you enjoy it. You guys don't have to go as much as I did, but geeky nerd OCD is a pain in the butt. But for an AK, I think that will do. So that is pretty much mirror finished. Best as a mirror can be. Start seeing my reflection. Actually, let's see if we can see something. Yeah, it's pretty mirrored to me. So yeah, that is redid that face a little bit. And you see I polished up underneath these areas, and I did the same on the carrier as well. So I'm gonna put them all back together and show you guys how it's acting now. Okay, guys. So just as I'm kind of getting set back up here, of course, I think it goes without saying, right, is that with all of these parts and everything, just be cognizant, mindful of what you're doing. Also know that since you are working with abrasive materials, that you fully clean off every single part. You really kind of get it as clean as possible. And then, more importantly, arguably, right, make sure you lubricate everything back up. Just that way it functions properly and mates up fairly well. So, just going to take some Slip 2000. Great stuff. Put in every little area. And since we did kind of remove some protective coating, like I said, this little gun lube Slip 2000 is going to act as a barrier for any moisture or anything like that. Cool thing about a mirror polish finish like we did for all this is that um, what mirror polish does, beyond making everything nice and smooth, is it removes all those little, oh, as I dropped the bottle, beyond removing all those little imperfections, it also removes the ability for water to get in certain little areas at the microscopic level and cause issues. I can never talk and oil at the same time. It's a bad skill, right? But removes the ability for water to ingress into those little areas and wreak havoc. So, yes, I know I'm oiling up the trigger shoe. Just getting oil on all of this, right? An oily AK is a happy AK. Niet rifle is fine. Does not need oil. Am I right, comrades? Terrible Russian accent, I know. So that is that part there. Here's our carrier. And just put a little bit of oil in here. I already cleaned off some of these parts here. Put a little oil in the raceway. Right there. Cool. Put a little oil inside the bolt interface. Cool. And where's that hammer? Hammer. A little oil inside there for the pin. So oil overall. And we're just trying to give it a good little surface to really run through. Now, I know there's been comments on a few videos of saying, well, Geek and Nerd, people have been polishing their AK triggers for years now. It's called shooting it, right? Yes, that is possible. But this expedites the whole process. So, okie dokie. So now we're back in here. What do we do? No, just checking. So we're just going to reassemble this here. Bolt. If I get it the right way. Come on. Boy, it's always hard to do things on camera. There we go. Okay. What's that? What's that? Check our little shepherd's crook. Okay, and then there's our pin or hammer pin. Okay, and so how this is going to work is these legs here are going to act upon it like that. So we're just going to go one side and two side. So now we have that acting upon there. And then we're going to do the reverse order. Where's my pliers? Grab my rubber band. Not very sophisticated, right? Come on, rubber band. Get out the hole. There we go. Okay. Grab this here. Twist it around. Hold it there. And this is where it'll get you. There you go. Not today. Grab that. Give it a couple twists. Keep it all together. Again, precautionary tail. You don't need to necessarily do this, but it's the most helpful trick I found. Okay, and now you have that there. Now we're going to insert it in 45 degree or 90 degree, and then rotate it across. So sometimes pain in the butt to do. Should rotate. Cool. Make sure the wires are fine. Cool. Pin goes from this side over. Okay. Line up the pins. Lined up. Good there. Keep that there. Okay. Steady. Okay. Take your little shepherd's crook, and it's going to slide directly next to the pin, but in between the spring and the wall, side wall. So just make sure we got that nice and square. Cool deal. Okay. Just gonna hold that up there. Take our trigger. Insert that there. Cool. Take our extra pin. Actually, I think I swapped these pins. I did. That was my bad, guys. I grabbed the. Yeah, did I grab the wrong pin? Yeah. So sometimes these pins are different. Sometimes they're the same. It's always good to put them back where they came from. Looks the same, but just for giggle's sake, put that pin in there. You can actually see where that hook's gonna actually index in. So just gonna line this back up. There we go. Yeah, it doesn't necessarily matter, but I just like it anyway. It's nice and seated, engaged. You push on the pin on the opposite end. Make sure it isn't going anywhere. Cool. Take this pin here, run it through your trigger. Pop out the other side. Hopefully, things lined up. And then you're going to see that that little bar down there is going to just ever so nicely rest on that pin. Make sure you just give it a push down, and then you push from the opposite side. That pin is not going to come out. Not coming on that side, not coming on that side, so you know you're good there. Now, you're going to take your little contraption of doom and be very cognizant what you're doing. Again, this second part where it'll get you. Okay. Hand grenade is live. Joking. Take that leg, hold that leg, drop that down, hit that leg, hold that leg, drop that down. Make sure it is resting on the trigger bar there, or trigger. Cool. Now we are golden. Take your pain in the butt safety for this model of AK. Run it through your shepherd's hook pin. Actually, make sure that that pin is resting back down. It is. Come on. And the fun part in the hole. Okay, now it's resting, and I need to force my way back down. Yes. Okay. Again, this is just for me and mine. Okay, so this one is getting caught up on that spring there. It's cool. Remove that spring, put it back. Now safety is engaging. All ever so snug is engaging. Cool. Make sure that is working. Function check. So you have lockback, release. Sure engages. Hold your thumb. Beautiful. And then releases. And then releases here. And it does not fire when safety's on. So always just good to check that. Give it a bit of more of oil after we kind of fondled, finagled everything here. A little bit there, a little bit there, a little bit there. Call it a win. Like this. Run it back home. I said, take this and run it back home on the gas block. I just decided to like to act up again on me. I just still got to fix that. And now we're going to take this, assemble. Come on. That's what I love about AKs, guys, is you can do, it's a lot of manual kind of stuff, but it's old school, so you really can't mess it up unless you mess it up. So now let's see process. So same procedure, kind of take your thumb. You can see that. Not getting hung up, like I was wanting to, where I had to release. Like I'm still holding the same amount of pressure as you see at that area, and then the initial where it hits the wall is overcoming that a lot easier. And now with our trigger, we're going to actually here again trying to keep the same. No grip. So that nice, clean, easy break, and then the reset. Nice and smooth and right back on it. So that is a very light, very fast, very smooth trigger. So there you go, guys. Sorry it's a bit of a long video, but hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully you found it helpful, and hopefully you found the V2 example to aid you in your guys's making the AK as good as it can be, and really kind of picking up some of the lost art of it. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video and found it helpful. If you did, please consider liking, commenting, and or subscribing. Thank you very much for sticking around this long if you did. And if you did, I hope you have a wonderful, awesome, fantastic day. I'll catch you guys next time. See you guys.